In the heart of a bustling town, there lived a compassionate barber named Andrew. He had spent over a decade honing his skills, running his own barbershop. Andrew's journey began as a young boy who couldn't afford college, but instead of letting adversity define him, he turned it into a challenge. One regular day, as he went about his routine of transforming unruly hair into pristine styles, a homeless man walked into his shop. Little did Andrew know that this chance encounter would lead him down a path filled with unexpected revelations and heartwarming reunions. Andrew's barbershop was nestled in a quaint corner of the bustling town. It was a place where people came not just for a haircut, but for the warmth and kindness that Andrew, a 31-year-old barber, exuded. His journey into this profession was far from ordinary. Raised by a single mother who struggled to make ends meet, he couldn't afford college. But instead of lamenting his fate, he saw it as a challenge to carve a better future. Over a decade had passed since Andrew first picked up the scissors, and he had his own barbershop now. It wasn't grand, but it was his haven. He knew most of his customers by name, and they knew him as the barber with a heart of gold. On a regular day, the shop buzzed with activity. Andrew skillfully cut and groomed his clients, ensuring that each one left with a smile. The shop's location made it easily accessible to a wide range of customers, and business was brisk. As the sun arched high in the sky, casting long shadows on the sidewalk, the shop door swung open with a soft chime. Andrew's gaze shifted from the young boy whose hair he was trimming to the newcomer. Murmurs rippled through the shop as heads turned to look at the man who had just entered. The man's appearance was strikingly out of place. His long, tangled beard hung down to the shoulders, and his unruly hair seemed to have a life of its own. His clothes were worn and tattered, carrying the unmistakable signs of a life spent on the streets. The customers exchanged glances, some with curiosity, others with sympathy, and a few with judgment. The man stood by the entrance, his eyes scanning the shop, hope glistening in their depths. He didn't have the appearance of someone who could afford a haircut or even a razor to tame his wild beard. Andrew, however, saw something different. He saw a fellow human being in need. With a warm smile and a welcoming gesture, he beckoned the man inside. "Please have a seat," Andrew said, his tone kind and reassuring. "You don't have to worry about the payment. Just sit here and let me transform your look." The homeless man's eyes filled with gratitude as he slowly made his way to one of the empty chairs in the waiting area. He felt a mix of emotions, relief, surprise, and a touch of embarrassment. He hadn't expected such generosity. "I don't have any money to pay for this service," he admitted, his voice tinged with shame. "It's okay, sir," Andrew replied, his smile unwavering. "Your hair and beard are on me. Let me know if there's anything else you need." The man nodded, his heart touched by Andrew's kindness. He settled into the chair, his head resting against the headrest, and Andrew prepared to work his magic. Little did he know that this simple act of compassion would set in motion a chain of events that would change both their lives forever. Andrew donned his barber's apron, a sense of purpose guiding his every move. He could sense the eyes of his other customers still fixed on the mysterious visitor in the waiting area. Some were curious, some judgmental, but they all witnessed an act of kindness unfolding. Carefully, Andrew approached the reclining chair where the homeless man, who had introduced himself as Jake, was now seated. He could see the anticipation in Jake's eyes, a glimmer of hope amid the turmoil of his life on the streets. With a gentle touch, Andrew began to work. He draped a clean, white sheet over Jake, fastening it snugly around his neck. He could feel the tension in the room slowly dissipating as he picked up his tools, his hands steady and experienced. The first order of business was Jake's overgrown beard. Andrew took extra care, choosing the right razor and shaving cream. The hum of the clippers filled the room as he meticulously began to trim away the wild tangle of facial hair. The transformation had begun. Jake couldn't help but smile as he felt the weight of his unkempt beard being lifted. His fingers gingerly touched his smooth, clean-shaven face, his eyes welling up with tears of gratitude. It had been years since he'd seen himself like this. "Wow," Jake whispered, his voice filled with wonder. "I love the neatness." Andrew returned the smile as he moved on to the next step. He sprayed a refreshing aftershave on Jake's face, providing a soothing sensation. The homeless man closed his eyes momentarily, savoring the moment of pampering. The transformation continued as Andrew shifted his attention to Jake's unruly hair. It had grown wild and unchecked, a reflection of the tumultuous life Jake had endured. Andrew picked up a spray bottle and moistened Jake's greasy, uncombed locks. He knew that this transformation was not just about appearances. It was about restoring a sense of dignity and self-worth. As Andrew worked his magic with scissors and comb, trimming away the tangled strands, he couldn't help but admire the resilience in Jake's eyes. It took courage to survive on the streets, and it took humility to accept help. Soon the transformation was complete. Andrew took a step back, allowing Jake to admire his reflection in the mirror. What he saw was not just a new appearance. It was a glimmer of hope and a fresh start. "I can't thank you enough," Jake said, his voice choked with emotion. "You've given me more than a haircut today. You've given me a second chance." Andrew smiled warmly, his eyes reflecting the kindness that had guided him throughout his life. "It was my pleasure, Jake. Remember, you're always welcome here." The atmosphere in the barbershop had shifted. The other customers, who had observed this remarkable transformation, now understood that they were witnessing more than just a haircut. They were witnessing the power of compassion and the potential for change. As Jake left the shop with a newfound confidence and a clean-shaven face, Andrew couldn't help but feel that this encounter was destined to be more than a simple act of kindness. It was the beginning of an unexpected journey that would uncover secrets from the past and lead to a deeper connection between two souls. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of Jake's transformation remained etched in the minds of everyone who had witnessed it at Andrew's barbershop. Word had spread through town about the barber with a heart of gold who had given a homeless man a fresh start. Andrew's barbershop had become a hub of conversations about compassion and second chances. Customers began bringing in clothing donations and food for those in need, inspired by the kindness they had witnessed. Andrew's act had ignited a chain reaction of goodwill in the community. Meanwhile, Jake had returned to the barbershop several times for follow-up haircuts and shaves, his appearance improving with each visit. Andrew had become a mentor and friend to him, offering advice and encouragement. As Jake's self-esteem grew, he began looking for employment opportunities and aimed to get his life back on track. One sunny afternoon, Jake entered the barbershop with a smile on his face. "Andrew, I have some great news," he announced eagerly. Andrew put down his scissors and turned to face Jake. "What's the news, Jake?" "I found a job," Jake said proudly. "A construction company is willing to give me a chance. I start next week." Andrew beamed with joy. "That's fantastic, Jake. I knew you had it in you. This is the beginning of a new chapter." Over the following weeks, Jake worked hard at his new job. He earned a steady income, and with Andrew's guidance, he started saving money. He even found a small apartment and was slowly rebuilding his life. One day, as Jake sat in the barber's chair, he looked at Andrew with a hint of hesitation. "Andrew, there's something I need to tell you," he began. Andrew raised an eyebrow. "What is it, Jake?" "You can tell me anything." Jake took a deep breath. "You see, Andrew, there's more to my story than I told you. My life on the streets, it wasn't just bad luck. I left my family many years ago because of a terrible mistake I made." Andrew leaned in, his eyes filled with concern. "Jake, you don't have to share if you're not ready." "No, I want to," Jake said earnestly. "You've gotten like a father to me, and you deserve to know the truth." Jake went on to explain how years ago he had abandoned his wife, Mary, and their young son, Andrew, due to his own reckless actions. He had let his family down, and he had been consumed by guilt ever since. Andrew listened in stunned silence as his father recounted the painful details of his past. Emotions welled up inside him, a mixture of anger, confusion, and a profound sense of longing. He had grown up believing his father had left them because he didn't care, but now he was faced with a different truth. Tears welled up in Andrew's eyes as he processed the revelation. "Dad, I don't know what to say," he finally managed to whisper. "I've missed you for so long." Jake's own eyes were moist with regret. "I can never make up for the years I've lost, Andrew, but I want to be a part of your life now, if you'll let me." Their reunion was bittersweet, marked by years of pain and separation. But amidst the tears and regrets, there was hope, a chance for a father and son to rebuild their relationship and heal old wounds. As Jake and Andrew embraced, the barbershop stood witness to a new beginning, a family's journey to forgiveness and redemption, sparked by an act of kindness that had brought them back together. In the days that followed, Andrew and Jake began to rebuild their relationship, one conversation at a time. Andrew had so many questions about the past, about why his father had left them, and about the years they had missed together. Jake, too, had questions about his son's life and experiences. It was an emotional journey for both of them, but they were determined to make amends. One evening, as they sat in Andrew's small apartment, Andrew asked, "Dad, why did you leave us? I always believed you didn't care about Mom and me." Jake sighed, his eyes filled with remorse. I was young and foolish back then, Andrew. I made some terrible decisions that led me down a destructive path. I thought leaving would spare you and your mother from the chaos I had created. Andrew nodded, trying to understand. But why didn't you ever come back, or at least stay in touch? Jake's voice trembled as he replied, I was too ashamed, son. I felt like I didn't deserve to be a part of your lives after what I had done. I spiraled deeper into my mistakes, and it took me years to realize how much I had lost. Tears welled up in Andrew's eyes. Dad, I spent so many years missing you. Mom always told me you had left, but she never said why. It hurt not knowing. I know, Andrew, Jake said, his own eyes moist. I regret every day I spent away from you. I should have been there for you both. Over time, Andrew began to forgive his father. He realized that holding on to anger and resentment wouldn't change the past, and he could see the genuine remorse in Jake's eyes. They started to make new memories together, bonding over shared interests and experiences. One weekend, Andrew invited Jake to visit his barbershop during a quiet afternoon. As they walked through the familiar doors, Andrew introduced his father to his loyal customers, who had come to know and respect the man who had transformed Jake's life. There were smiles, handshakes, and even a few tears as people congratulated them on their reunion. One longtime customer, Mr. Johnson, pulled Andrew aside and said, You know, Andrew, what you did for Jake was incredible. But what's even more remarkable is how you've forgiven your father and given him a second chance. Andrew smiled, feeling grateful for the support of his community. It's never too late to mend relationships and show kindness, Mr. Johnson. As the weeks turned into months, Jake became a beloved figure in the small town, known not only for his transformation, but also for his journey of redemption. He started volunteering at a local shelter for homeless individuals, sharing his own experiences and offering hope to those who felt trapped in the same cycle he had once been. One sunny afternoon, as Andrew and Jake stood outside the barbershop, watching the world go by, Andrew turned to his father and said, Dad, I'm so glad you came back into my life. We may have lost many years, but now we have the chance to make up for them. Jake nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. I promise to make the most of this second chance, Andrew, and I'll always be proud of the compassionate, generous man you've become. Their story was a testament to the power of forgiveness, second chances, and the enduring bonds of family. Andrew and Jake had come full circle, from a chance encounter in a barbershop to rebuilding a father-son relationship that had once seemed irreparably broken. As they stood together, looking out at the bright future that lay ahead, they knew that together they could face whatever challenges life threw their way. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and this other story that may be appearing on the screen will most likely move you as well. Have a nice day and see you in the next video.